Hey everybody, I'm David.
And I'm Eddie.
And we are full-time gays, and we're joining you this week from
Jones Pond in Angelica, New York.
Join us as we give you a review and a bit of a tour. Hey, welcome again, everybody, from Jones Pond, an all-male campground in Angelica, New York, which is about, what, an hour and a half, 2 hours southeast of Buffalo, a couple hours west of Binghamton, New York, lots more hours from New York City.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people come here from the city, but it's one of the most picturesque campgrounds that we've been to.
Beautiful.
Gently rolling hills, which we'll talk more about. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna give a review and a tour of the campground. And for those of you that haven't seen our videos before, we rate it in 4 different areas, and then we talk about what's in the local area. So we start off with
big rig friendliness.
how big, how easy is it to get to the campground, and then once you're in it, how easy is it to maneuver around in the campground. Then we look at
the grounds and facilities. What do they have here for you to do while you're staying?
yeah, and what's the infrastructure like, right? And then the vibe, which is our subjective take on kind of the social element of the campground. And we wrap things up with the internet.
Yep.
And we need that, like a lot of folks nowadays that work remotely. And yes. And so we'll talk about our experience with Verizon, with AT&T, and with Wi-Fi.
Exactly.
All right, so let's go ahead and get started with big rig friendliness.
Yeah, so normally our categories are a scale of 1 to 10. In big rig friendliness, we break it out in 2, a scale 1 to 5 on getting to the park and 1 to 5 navigating within the park. So getting to the park, it's actually pretty easy until you get to the last road.
Yeah, until you get to the last road, it's Old State Route 15 or something, and you go up this really steep dirt hill for maybe, what, a quarter mile?
Terrifying.
It's pretty, it doesn't show up. It's not obvious when you're looking at like Google Maps, even if you're looking at Street View. So the first time we came here, this is our second time here, we saw that hill and we're like, oh my God. But you can do it.
Yeah.
It's just, you take it slow, and we put our four-wheel drive on, but I don't know that you have to. Getting out, same thing. You're going down that hill. Last time we did it, it was raining, which
added an element to that fear.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have a truck that has the towing system, it's got the
Trailer brake,
the hand button thingy, yeah. And we rode that thing with it down the whole way, and we're probably gonna do it again today.
Probably. Because when you get to the bottom of the hill, there's a stop sign right at the bottom.
Yeah, right at the bottom of the hill. And then once you turn onto State Route 15, it's fine.
Yeah, I mean, super flat and well-maintained roads.
Exactly.
No clearance issues. I mean, it's super easy.
Yeah. So when you're, so getting to the park, what would you call it?
I'm gonna give it a 4. I mean, it's really just the hill that's kind of, meh.
Okay, cool. I'm also gonna give it a 4. I would give it a 3 just because of that last hill being kind of scary like it is. But one of the great things that Jones Pond does, and frankly, I wish more gay campgrounds did this, is on their website, rather than just say, click here for Google Map directions, they actually give you spelled out directions from all the different directions. And there's one direction that maybe Google Maps would take you under a railroad bridge that's not high enough for the bigger rigs. And so if they didn't have those directions on there and you didn't do a lot of due diligence, then you might have gotten caught in a bad place. And so having those directions on the website spelled out, and there was some construction where one of the bridges was closed, and they actually had an update. Okay, take this way instead. So we came a different way than last time just because the website said.
Exactly.
So that was awesome. Now, when you're in the park, it's a little bit of a different matter.
Quite a bit different. So again, those gentle rolling hills that are absolutely beautiful become a challenge to maneuver the rig within the park. So the park is a little bit on the older side.
30, 40 years old.
Something like that. So when the park was built, big rigs never existed. So the infrastructure was never built to handle
Except on
like
Lucy.
Exactly. So when you come into the park, it's just a dirt road, but it's a lot of rocks in it. So
yeah.
A lot of ruts and potholes. But because of those rocks, I don't think they really could grade it and fix it.
Not unless they resurfaced it somehow. Yeah, I mean, it's not the end of the world, but you turn off that dirt road we talked about with the hill, and it's kind of a tight turn, totally doable.
Yep.
And then you got to kind of snake around the office, and you got to go through a gate, and then you go around like this big field. And again, it's just kind of a rutty road. So you take it slow, and you to get to RV Row, which is where all of the transient sites are, you have to kind of go down and around. And so you're going down this hill, not horrible, it's 1-lane road, it's kind of rocky, kind of rutty.
Just wide enough.
Yeah, just wide enough. and then you turn a soft turn, kind of parallel, almost like you're doing a downwind if you're a pilot. And in that road, there were some branches that they weren't trimmed up high enough, and I was surprised by that. I was like, why would you not trim your branches high enough? And then
wide enough.
Or wide enough. And then you get to this last turn to get onto RV row, and it's more than a 90-degree turn. Or
Devil's Corner.
Devil's Corner. And right on the inside is this big sort of ditch, and there's poles around it. And when you walk up to it, it goes down, and you can't really go off to the left to make it a wide turn because there's trees and shrubs, and your only way to do it is to go far forward and then turn and just kind of hope there's no cars parked there.
Let's just say as we're making the turn, the front left tire of the truck was as far out as it could go, and the trailer tires on the right were like this far from the edge of the ditch.
Yeah. And so yesterday some other guys came in with a rig just about the same size as ours, and so we videotaped it just to see, was it just us? It wasn't just us.
No.
They made it too. I mean, people make it, but it's probably easier in a motorhome than a fifth wheel and truck because you're not as long combined.
Yep.
So if you have a motorhome, it shouldn't be a big deal. If you have a big fifth wheel, it could be a bigger deal. So just be really, really careful. And then when you get up, you're kind of going back uphill with the RVs and RV row, and the sights are at a little bit of an angle, which is good. But the road, because it's so narrow, it's really tough to kind of back in because without going on the site in front of you, like across the street. Some sites it's easier to do than others. Our across the street neighbor, super nice guy. All of his stuff is right against the road.
It's like your site is like 3 acres large. Back it up a little bit.
So it was tough. And to make matters worse for us in particular is there's this big old pine tree right on the inside of the corner that we're backing up around. And so we're backing up into the site, and I stopped because there were some branches hitting, and it looked like they weren't just small ones. And so I stopped the truck kind of mid turn into the site, got up on the roof and took some shears and like cut a bunch of branches off the tree. And I asked for forgiveness instead of permission, but that tree does not make it any easier.
Not at all.
I was really stressed. We did it. We got on the site, but it took like 40 minutes, and we had to trim a tree.
Yeah, and to add to that, and we'll talk more about this in a vibe too, but we also gathered a crowd.
We had hecklers.
We had hecklers, and then we had people trying to help.
Which is nice.
It's just, we have our system.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm giving him instructions, and he's got someone on the other side of the truck giving instructions, and someone behind the trailer giving instructions, and none of them match. So.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so I just follow his directions and kindly nod. And people are well-meaning, so that's not a knock. It's just we were kind of in a stressful situation to begin with. Now getting out, we're gonna do that right after we film this video, and we're gonna have to get around that tree again. A little bit better of a plan, I think. But then going out, kind of the same thing, getting away toward that main road that gets you to the exit. It's a really tight turn. It's definitely more than 90 degrees, and there's a freaking sign right on the corner. It's like, why would you do that?
And there's other transient sites on the opposite side of that corner that come all the way to the road, so you can't even really swing out.
Again, you can do it.
Yeah.
It's just, there's a lot of things they could do to make this more big rig friendly.
Yep.
So you can do it. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but it's not easy. So I'm gonna give it a 1 on the inside of the park.
Same. Again, you can do it, but just be prepared to be a little bit stressed managing it.
Now, if it's a smaller rig, no big deal.
Yep.
This is a rating that's specific to big rigs like ours, which isn't everybody. And so This isn't a knock on the campground. It's still a beautiful place, but it's not very big rig friendly. And we talked to people around the park, and everybody that we talked to agreed, like everybody. So it's not just us. So that gives us a 5 out of 10 for big rig friendliness.
Exactly.
Let's talk about grounds and facilities.
There is a lot to talk about here. The park, again, is just amazingly beautiful. It's very picturesque, southwestern New York with the red barns, and it's just beautiful.
Yeah.
Speaking of the red barn, they have this massive rec center where they do bingo on Friday nights and dances and
It is
games.
a beautiful barn.
It's pretty amazing. Outside of that, they also have a restaurant, and I'm talking full sit-down restaurant with wait staff and menus
and good food, really good food,
and not terribly expensive.
No,
not at all. The check-in office up front is also a general store. They're gonna have your snacks and drinks. They're also gonna have some RV supplies,
your brown bottled energy drinks that you don't even need to swallow.
No,
you probably shouldn't.
It's like a room deodorizer, I think.
Well, we got all those VHS tapes.
But they also have clothing in there. park swag, t-shirts, cups, stuff like that. I also noticed that if there's a theme weekend, like this weekend is Mardi Gras themed weekend, they put in party supplies that are Mardi Gras themed. So if you got here, you're like, oh my God, I forgot my Mardi Gras hat. Well, they have it.
And they actually have a TV outside that has a digital display of that weekend's events, which I thought was a really neat idea.
Never seen that on a campground before. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
What else do they have here for you? They've got the pool, which goes to a depth of 9 feet.
Because why not,
I
right?
don't know.
You can't dive still, so I don't know why it's 9 feet deep, but it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people use it. It is clothing optional. I think most of the park is clothing optional unless you can be seen by the road, right?
Yeah, I think there was a sign that said, no nudity beyond this point.
Okay, right.
There's no hot tub, which is kind of unique. I think being up north where for the gas golf cart to go by.
So the campground allows gas golf carts, which not a lot of folks do, and now I kind of get why.
They're loud, they're stinky. Anyways, so there's no hot tub, which I thought was kind of weird, especially being up north. You would figure people would want a hot tub more often than a unheated pool.
This is July and it was 46 degrees last night,
yeah,
which is weird. But.
Yeah. Plenty of loungers around the pool for you to lay out. There's even some like covered areas with tables, so if you don't want to sit out in the sun, they got that as well. Big, huge communal fire pit that they lit up last night.
It's got a totem pole right behind it, which is kind of cool.
There is a memorial gazebo, plenty of trails to walk around here.
The park itself is like 120 acres. I mean, it's ginormous.
Yeah.
And it's almost all used. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're fine. They also have cabin rentals. They've got a guest house up front, beautiful tenting areas. The RV sites for guests and transients is pretty much to one area. They call it RV Row.
Yeah, we're in the 200s, the 250s.
Exactly.
Yep.
The electric is being upgraded. It was only 30 amp.
Well, is and was.
Yes. So we got on our site, found out that it's 30 amp. Not a big deal. We can do the adapter. We can, conserve our electricity and everything. Well, our next door neighbor was the last site that they've upgraded. We're next.
Yeah, basically everything down is 50 amp, and then from our site there's 3 more this way, and that's all 30 amp. And so the guys that were next door when they left, we went to the front office and asked, hey, can we run an extension cord and plug into the 30 amp next door to us until somebody else gets on the, yeah, thank you, until somebody else gets on the site. And they're like, yeah, but yours has 50 amp too. Like the owners and workers didn't know that there were still 3 sites on RV Row that didn't have 50 amp.
Yeah, which is a little bit weird.
But we tried to plug in, and we were getting like our little surge protector thing said open neutral. So that's what we went to the office about. And so we were, after that office visit, we're like, well, let's stick to 30 amp. But within an hour, to their credit, they had somebody back there and they had it fixed. And so for that one day, which was the warmest day, which is the day we really needed the 50 amp.
We snuck over like little crooks and night, or electric cord to our neighbor's site.
like the guy in Airplane.
Yeah.
Rapunzel. In addition to that, I mean, there's sites that are out in the open like this, but the sites are ginormous. They're
huge. Really
big sites.
I mean, people here actually have riding lawnmowers to mow the grass on their site.
Yeah, and then there's also sites in the back that they don't come in and out. They're perm sites, right? And there's beautiful rigs that get back there. It's like here, you can do it. It's just tough, and you got to go slow. But these are huge sites, private sites, quiet sites on creek beds or overlooking the park. I mean, it's really gorgeous.
Exactly.
You talked about the cabins and the bathhouse and laundry. There's a dump station.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no sewer.
Right.
Which is not uncommon up
there
north.
is sewer on 2 sites.
2 sites. Rick Riley and the owner. Anyway, so that's one thing. They do have a honey wagon and they do pump out service, which is kind of par for the course, right? But the dump station, if you did want to dump your black, is kind of along the road that you come to get to RV Row. So if you wanted to dump before you left, you'd have to go back and go through that gauntlet again.
You have to do that one in Big Rig Friendliness again.
So our black tank is going to have a nice drive all the way to our next campground. Bottom line, though, I mean, there are way more pros than cons. You know, the 30 amp thing is going to probably even be fixed by at least on RV Row. By the time this video goes live, it's the end of July. At the rate I'm getting videos edited, this will be out in October when the campground's already closed for the season. But you know, it's way better, more pros than cons. And so I'm going to give it like probably an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 7, mainly because of that dump station. Like, put it at the exit. We're leaving. We don't want to do Devil's Corner again. But yeah, so 7 for me.
Okay, so that means 7.5 out of 10 for grounds and facilities.
Got it.
But it is beautiful, bottom line. Absolutely gorgeous, gorgeous park.
Exactly.
All right, so the vibe here, again, as you said, it's very subjective, right? For us, we had a good time. We work during the week, and we do the video editing and everything else, and so we don't really go out and about a whole lot during the week, which I think some people find off-putting, and I don't mean it to be, but we have things to do.
We have a job.
Yeah, but because of the infrastructure they've built, I mean, there's a massive, like 120 seasonal sites, and they take pride in it, right? They're beautiful sites, they're well manicured, they have nice big decks on them, which is kind of grounds and facilities, but at the same time it speaks to the vibe. People love coming here. They do a thing that's really cool. They have 2 weeks during the summer, they call them vacation weeks. And so people can like plan their own PTO around it, and during those 2 weeks, rather than it just being kind of a sleepy, some seasonals that are here during the week, the whole week they plan events for as if it were a weekend. So people can come out for a week-long celebration, which I've never seen a gay campground, any campground do that. I think that's a really good idea.
It's a great idea. I mean, you know, have people come out and spend their time off in the summer and invite them to be here and have things to do.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they have they've got bingo every Friday night, which is a lot of fun. The prizes are pretty decent. They have dances.
I won bingo last night.
Yes, you won. Well, it was supposed to be $100, but it ended up being $50.
2 winners.
Yeah, 2 winners. But yay! Paid for our bingo cards and then some, so they have the bingo. They've got the dance. I don't know if it's every weekend, but the times we've been here, they've had a dance in that awesome rec hall. The pool area is super popular. The fire pit with that totem pole, super popular.
Saturday mornings, they do a campground walk.
Yeah. Rick hosts a campground walk
at 9 o'clock in the morning. So
I know.
Just be prepared for that.
We passed. Everybody we met was nice. Because it's such a big park, though. I mean, well, we're all of us transient RVs are kind of like on one row, and it is at the end of the park, and so that can create kind of a feeling of like almost being segregated or kind of out of the middle of everything. Now it's what like we've said before, it's what you're willing to put in, right? So there are plenty of nice people. We've met lots of nice people, but there's just kind of a sense like, I don't know, it was
almost like they had their family vibe going on, and we're just here. And because of the segregation, we actually had more interaction with folks from RV Row than we did with seasonals.
Yeah, and it wasn't the case last time, so it's a mixed bag, right? I mean, it's still a beautiful vibe, a beautiful culture they've made here, but you get what you give. And so if you're just one or two people in RV Row, you've never been here before, and you're not really outgoing, and you're not like a 10 out of 10 on a hot scale where people will just kind of, you have to work a little bit.
What are you trying to say?
Yeah, we're only 8s now because we're 41.
Speak for yourself.
You have to work a little harder, but that said, the culture here is still a really nice, vibrant, developed, mature, not age-wise, but just it's a culture that's matured. And I think if that's the vibe you go for, this is a wonderful place.
Are they seasoned seasonals?
There you go. If you're here for the party atmosphere, you have that. If you're here for the campfire, you have that. The sites in the back that are in the trees, they're more quiet and secluded. If that's your vibe, I mean, it's perm sites back there, but there are seasonals, but you have that. So it's really what you want to make of it. And so for me, that said, you had a couple of interesting things happen with the vibe.
So as we were parking, I mentioned the hecklers we had when we were trying to park. We actually had someone come by, and I'm pretty sure he was joking, but as he's walking by, he's like, just tear up the place, just tear up the grass and make a mess of everything.
We had no choice.
It's like, can't get in the site.
Yeah.
The other thing that happened, and this was very interesting, I'd gone out to the grocery store, and on the way back in, I'm on that back road before I got to Devil's Corner, and there had been a small gathering at one of the sites, and there was a bunch of golf carts. One of the golf carts was actually in the road, and I took a picture of it, so we'll put that here. But as I was coming up in the truck that fit just in the lane, they saw me coming up. I could see them watching me. They could see that I was trying to get past their golf cart without going in a ditch the other side, and they did nothing. They just watched, and there was no like, hey, sorry, no nothing.
But did you get past it?
I got past it, but it was like they watched me have a challenge that they created.
Yeah. It's just probably a one-off. I mean, I don't think that speaks to the whole campground,
right.
but a couple different things like that sort of happened, and it just goes to that this is a community. This is almost like a town, and we're the people staying in the motel on Main Street. Well, really off Main Street. But I mean, I still like the vibe here, and so I'm gonna still give it an 8 out of 10 for the vibe.
Yeah, I mean, there was a couple of run-ins I had. I can't go with a full 8. I think I'm just gonna give it a 6. Try to maybe get one of those energy drinks from the office. So for me, the vibe is a 6. It was a little bit harder for me to kind of get in with everyone else.
Yeah. All right. So that gives us a 7 out of 10 for the vibe, which is still a high score. I mean, it's still a beautiful, beautiful place.
Exactly.
The internet.
What internet?
Yeah. So we have Verizon, and the only way that we had any kind of a signal at all was with our Wii Boost. Like if I look at my phone right now, there is, yeah, it's not even registering a bar.
Yeah.
Now inside in front of the Wii Boost, yeah, we can get 1 or 2 bars, which does give us some speed. So, but inside with the Wii Boost, we had some signal.
Yep.
AT&T had a better signal for us in front of the Wii Boost. Like we had faster speeds, and so I used that most of the week for work. But
interestingly though,
yeah,
let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4,
5 or 6 sites down, yeah.
Down from us. We met this couple who have that rig that's very similar to ours. They have AT&T cell phones, and they were getting nothing.
Yeah, and so the Wii Boost is really what saved us here. So if you're interested in the Wii Boost, we'll put the link for it down in the comments. We talked about it in other videos. And by the way, hit subscribe when you're down in the comments, because that helps us a lot. A lot.
Yeah.
And so we really appreciate that. The comments, we appreciate the subscribes, we appreciate the bells. We really appreciate it when you share this video with your circle of friends, so that we can get the word out, right? That you know, we're kind of going around the country doing reviews on gay campgrounds. The Wi-Fi, there is Wi-Fi in the front area, like in the common area, which is pretty strong from what we hear. But it doesn't extend back here. I don't know if they have plans to do that, but today there is no Wi-Fi really to speak of, except for that you create with your hotspot.
Exactly.
So for me, the internet is like a 5. I mean, if you have a Wii Boost, you can get by. If you don't need a lot of internet, you can get by. But it's not robust, at least not yet.
Yeah. I also wanted to add in too, before I get my score, is we did notice that as the park was filling up for the weekend, that cell signal got worse and worse and worse.
And that happens a lot of places, right? Because the tower gets overloaded. I mean, there's hundreds of people here.
Yep.
So Friday afternoon, hopefully it's a light load of work. I was fine. I was able to do my meetings and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm actually going to mirror the score that you gave, a 5. It's doable, but just don't rely on it.
Okay, so we got 5 out of 10 for Big Rig Friendliness. What do we have for grounds and facilities?
Can we do 7?
7?
7.5, I think.
We'll put the score down.
Yeah.
For Big Rig, or excuse me, the Vibe, 7 out of 10, and for the internet, 5 out of 10.
Yep.
Now, local area, there's not a lot in the local area.
Let's just say it's a good thing Jones Ponds has all the things you need here at the park.
Yeah, it's a destination in and of itself. But if you do need to go to the store, it's like 20, 25 minutes away, and there's stores in multiple directions.
I went to Hornell. They did it because they had a grocery store and a Walmart. The Walmart is one of the old-timey Walmarts, so there is like groceries, but it's all dry goods. You're not going to find a produce section or.
So where did you? What was the place called that you did?
I went to Wegmans. On the outside, it looks like a really crappy place, but you walk in and it's actually a really nice grocery store.
Was that Dansville?
No, that was also in Hornell.
Oh, okay. But I mean, there's things around. You just got to drive for it. There's not, that I know of, like an attraction 10 minutes away, like some other places have. But this kind of is the attraction. This is why people come here.
Exactly.
So bottom line, would you come back to Jones Pond?
If our rig was smaller, it'd be easier to manage within the park. I would say an absolute yes. I'm still not going to say a no, but because it's so stressful to get the rig in and out of here, I might try to find something else.
Yeah, this is our second time here, so we knew what we were getting into when we came back, and we still came back. We wanted to do the video.
Yeah.
We love the place. I mean, it is gorgeous. The weather is pleasant. I mean, I'm sure the weather can be as hot as any place else at times, but the weeks we've been here, it's been great. Yeah, I would come back, especially if they took a little bit more care to like maybe make the roads a little more big. At least, you know, at least the ones that are used commonly to get to RV Row.
Yeah, at least trim back the trees. Start with that.
Yeah, start with that, and then allow you to turn the Devil's Corner. Is that what you call it?
Yeah, Devil's Corner.
You know, widen that. Do something so that you don't have to like clench your butt cheeks so tight your back hurts to get around a corner.
Hold your cell phone out with progressive on speed dial.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I would definitely come back. I mean, what they've built is an amazing, amazing place.
Yes.
And the things that we've said, please don't take them as we're not, you know, recommending the place. We're saying if you have a rig that's our size, be aware when you come, because when you do get here, you're probably going to have a really great time, and you're going to really enjoy the view
Once you get parked.
Yeah. All right. Very good. Well, on that note, I am David.
And I'm Eddie.
We are
In It Together.